Thanks for joining me. Today I'd like to introduce you to a new range of clamps that Philmac is going to be selling. I've spoken before, and you probably saw me because I'm back in the same pump shed, lucky me, where I spoke about Philmac's range of cam locks. The reason we've chosen to introduce this range of worm drive clamps is that we sell a lot of cam locks and a lot of hose fittings, so it just makes sense. It's kind of complementary. The great thing about it, we're doing two ranges. We're doing this one here, which is a galvanised range, or W1, that's what it's called in the industry, and a stainless steel range, or W3. We're doing a range of sizes right from quite small ones here right through to 160 millimetres, so it covers most of the hoses that you typically use in the agricultural/horticultural sector. I'll just demonstrate. I want to show you some of the features of these. They're a really nice worm drive clamp. The first thing you'll probably notice, a really small structure up here, or head if you like. By keeping this really compact, and you notice on this small one how compact it is, what it ensures, we don't get these flat spots. When these housings are too big, you can get a flat spot, and therefore you don't get this even force applied right around the hose. So that's quite important, and we have that feature. The next thing we have, and you can probably see it here, the edges are actually rolled. You can see some marks where the machine has gone through and rolled those edges. What that means is the edges of this hose clamp aren't going to bite into the pipe and cause any damage. So that again is really important. As I said, a couple of choices. You can either get the stainless steel range, the W3, or a galvanised. Just depends on the situation you're in and which one would actually be most suitable. In terms of installation, it's quite straightforward. You can see here I've prepared one. I've actually slipped it already over the hose and it's ready to actually install. Now, in terms of installation, we've got a few choices. You'll notice we've got the structure here. Now, what we can do is either use a 7mm ratchet like I've got here, and that is across the range, so quite an advantage. So it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with one of these very small ones or you're dealing with this large one here, it's 7mm across the range, so it makes it very convenient for the end user or yourselves, those people who are watching, to put that on and simply tighten it up that way. If you don't have one of those handy, no problems at all. There's a couple of other choices. On the galvanised version, which I've managed to slip down there, you'll notice there's actually a cruciform on here. So you can actually use either a Phillips head, in this case like that, or if you want to, you can just use the traditional flathead screwdriver. So there are choices. On the galvanised version, they simply come with this one here, which is just the flat blade screwdriver. So whichever is the most convenient, go and grab it. But again, it's across the range, so one size screwdriver will do everything. My personal preference is actually for the ratchet. I just find it quite easy to use. Again, when we spoke before about using things like cam lock fittings, but again, what you want to do is you need to make sure this is towards the back, so it's over the barb and it's actually sitting on the shank of the fitting. It's just a question of holding it in what is a convenient position like that. I'll get my hands out the way so you can see, and just a question of gradually tightening that up. So quite straightforward. And just make sure that, again, you make sure you just hold it like that. You're trying to just get that in position. That's really important. So it's not skewed one way or the other. We want to get that in position. So I'm just checking that just to make sure I'm happy with where that's at. And again, I'm not applying any great force here, just doing it nice and gently. And you'll gradually, as you do it, you'll start to feel that tighten up. It's quite straightforward. You'll feel it there. There we go. Now applying some force, tightening up. You don't need to over tighten it. What you're doing is all you're doing is retaining the hose and stopping it from pulling over the barb. The barb's doing a lot of the work, so I wouldn't over tighten it. I'm feeling that's, and you can see how easy that was. So it's a great little mechanism. You don't need to be forcing it. It tightens up really nicely. And as I said, we have a range, so we've got a range to suit a lot of the really common size pipes or hoses that might be used around a farmyard. You know, your 2-inch washdown hoses, 1-inch washdown hoses, etc. So it's quite good from that point of view. So as easy as, if you like, installed, and in this case I'm using a stainless one. That's going to be good for years and years to come.